Imagine you're standing in line at a crowded city hall. You took time off work, you've been waiting for like 2 hours, and all you want is just a simple piece of paper that says you are legally allowed to park your car outside your own apartment.
Right, the classic bureaucratic nightmare.
Exactly. And in our modern era, you'd think artificial intelligence would have completely solved this by now, right? You imagine this sleek, magical black box where your data goes in and, a perfect, unquestionable permit just instantly pops out.
Yeah, that's the dream. But behind the scenes, that supposed magic is incredibly messy.
It really is.
When you move from, like, theoretical software design into the actual trenches of local government, that frictionless illusion just shatters. You realize these systems require a massive, highly orchestrated amount of human handholding to actually function properly.
Which brings us perfectly to today's topic. Welcome to today's deep dive. We've got a really fascinating stack of sources on the table for you today. Architectural notes, research briefs, and most importantly, the comprehensive user manual for a system called Smart City Permits.
Yeah, this is a pilot program developed by Novoville under the HumAIne EU co-funded project.
Right. And our mission today is to figure out how this software manages the incredibly delicate handoff between an automated AI and a human city worker.
Because it's not just about the code, it's about the people using it.
Exactly. So to truly understand the mechanics of the system, we're going to look at it through two very different lenses. I am going to be wearing my project manager hat today. So I'll be focusing on throughput, workflow rules, and, just getting things done efficiently.
And I'll be approaching this with my UX designer hat on. I really want to look at the user experience. I'm focusing on how the digital interface actually communicates with the people staring at the screens and how the layout itself guides or even forces their behavior.
Together, we're going to give you an inside look at how smart design choices keep human operators firmly in the driver's seat, preventing the machine from just running wild. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's dive in.
So approaching the system's architecture through my project manager's lens, the first thing that really jumps out at me is how it fundamentally refuses to deal with an endless, chaotic stream of incoming applications.
Right, because that's just a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. If you have a constant trickle of data, you can never effectively allocate your staff. Instead, this system relies on a rigid concept called sessions. It forces the work into, manageable batches.
Which is very deliberate structural choice, especially when dealing with the general public. Instead of looking at this as an abstract list of stages, let's follow a specific user journey.
Okay, let's go.
Imagine a resident named Maria. She lives in Athens, she needs her street parking permit, and she navigates to the city's web portal. What's interesting here is that the system intentionally lowers the barrier to entry, so Maria doesn't even need to create a login account.
Oh, that's actually really convenient.
It is, but because of that, the system demands incredibly specific documentation up front to prove she is who she says she is.
Right, so she enters the open phase of the session. She has to submit her full name exactly as it appears on her Greek ID, which is the standard national identity card.
Yeah.
She inputs her 9-digit tax number, and she provides the electricity supply number from her local power company. I think in Greece, that's often referred to as her DEI bill.
Exactly.
And finally, she has to upload a PDF of her most recent E1 tax declaration, which is basically her annual tax return just to prove her primary residence.
And think about the reality of what Maria is actually uploading here. It's rarely a pristine digital file.
Oh, definitely not.
It's often a slightly blurry smartphone photo of a printed E1 form that's been, folded in half, or maybe there's a coffee stain on the corner.
Oh, yeah, typical user-submitted data.
Right. And the AI uses optical character recognition, or OCR, to read that document. If the lighting in Maria's photo is bad, or the specific formatting of the Greek tax form throws it off, the machine's confidence score plummets.
Which causes a bottleneck.
Exactly. This is why the system does so much basic hand-holding while Maria is still typing. If she leaves a field blank or formats her tax number wrong, an error message pops up and the web page literally scrolls up to the exact error.
That's smart.
It forces her to fix the blatant mistakes before the AI even attempts to read her blurry PDF.
So it's quality control at the source. I mean, I love that as a PM. But here is where the workflow gets really tricked. Once Maria and a few thousand of her neighbors submit their forms, we hit stage 2, which is stopped.
hard stop.
Yeah, the city operator looks at the dashboard and hits stop. The session is closed to new applications. No more Marias can enter the system. From there, it moves to AI checked, where the machine crunches all those E1 PDFs in the background.
Right.
Then it goes to operator verifying, where humans review the work. And finally, closed, where applicants are notified, and the session becomes a permanent, read-only historical record.
It creates a highly controlled environment.
It really does. It's essentially a train leaving the station. You know, the station master, the project manager, opens the doors, the passengers get on, the doors lock, and the train departs.
And no one else is getting on.
Right. Once those doors lock, there is absolutely no going back. From an operational efficiency standpoint, I need that. You can't manage a team's workload if the pile of work keeps growing while you're actively trying to process it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But putting on my other hat for a second, I have to ask you, if you lock the doors on a citizen, they usually panic. They think their application is lost, and they flood the help desk with phone calls.
Well, inevitably.
Right. Furthermore, how do you enforce that kind of finality on the city workers themselves without causing anxiety? Like, how does the UI visually diffuse that panic?
That is the crucial tension in enterprise software.
Yeah.
You have these rigid, irreversible project management rules colliding with user experience, which, usually wants to be forgiving and flexible.
Yep.
The system handles this through aggressive visual predictability. For the operators managing these sessions, they aren't just looking at a blank list. They have these large, distinct session cards.
Okay, so big visual cues.
Right. And right across the top of that card is a highly visible progress bar. It physically maps out this 5-step train journey you mentioned.
So they can see exactly what station the train is at.
Precisely. They see what stages are done and what is pending. And right below that progress bar is a statistics strip that updates in real time.
Real-time data is always nice.
It's essential. It populates with the total number of applications in that batch, how many the AI has flagged, how many are still pending. It gives the operator complete situational awareness at a single glance.
And it goes beyond just visual feedback, doesn't it? Reading through the manual, it seems the UI uses strategic friction to protect the operator from the finality of my PM rules.
Very much so.
Because clicking stop applications is an irreversible action, the system doesn't let an operator just accidentally bump their mouse and trigger it.
No, it throws up a mandatory confirmation dialog, clearly warning them that the action cannot be undone. It forces a cognitive speed bump.
Just to make sure they're paying attention.
Right. And what's fascinating here is that it takes it a step further to prevent systemic chaos. The UI actually physically disables the new session button in the main toolbar.
Wait, really? It just disables it?
It grays it out entirely, if there is already a current session sitting in the open stage. It literally blocks the operator from creating overlapping, unmanageable batches of work.
Wow.
It balances your strict, inflexible rules with an interface that actively protects the human from making a catastrophic error.
It makes a lot of sense. You enforce the rule, but you make sure the user is fully aware the rule is being enforced.
Exactly.
But eventually, this metaphorical train moves into the AI checked and operator verifying stages. And this is where the city worker is suddenly hit with a massive wall of data.
Oh yeah, a very intimidating wall of data.
I mean, they click into a batch, and they are staring at hundreds, maybe thousands of applications. How does the interface make sense of all that without completely overwhelming the user?
This is where we transition into the application list view, and honestly, this is where the UX shines the brightest. A wall of raw data is completely useless to a human being.
Right.
The operators need to know exactly where to focus their limited attention and time. The system solves this through the brilliance of decision badges.
So if you're staring at this application list right now, you aren't just seeing a massive spreadsheet, you're seeing a heat map of where your attention is needed.
That's a great way to put it. They use a very specific color coding language to communicate incredibly complex system statuses at a single glance. Let's break down the primary colors.
Okay.
Green simply means accepted. The machine or the human reviewed it. All the tax numbers matched the ID. Smooth sailing.
Makes sense.
Red means rejected. Someone found a glaring mismatch. And blue means AI processed, which just indicates the machine has done its initial background check and the file is sitting there waiting for human eyes.
So green is good, red is bad, blue is pending. That's standard software design.
It is, but the real aha moments come with the secondary colors. First, there is a teal badge, which stands for fixed and accepted.
Teal, that's an oddly specific choice. What does it actually represent?
I look at this teal badge as a stroke of UX genius because of the story it tells. Let's go back to our applicant Maria. Let's say Maria was typing fast and made a typo in her electricity supply number.
Happens all the time.
Or maybe the OCR misread a slightly smudged digit on her uploaded E1 form. The AI catches the mismatch, throws up its hands, and flags the application.
Okay.
But a human operator steps in, actively investigates the discrepancy, realizes it's just a simple typo, corrects Marie's data in the system manually, and then approves the permit.
I see.
That teal badge appears on the dashboard as a visual representation of human grace within a very rigid digital system.
I really like that mechanism. It proves to the managers that the human is actually doing the investigative work, not just blindly rubber stamping the machine's initial guess.
Exactly. It highlights the absolute necessity of the operator.
Yeah.
But then we have the orange badge.
Ah, yes. The orange badge.
The orange badge stands for flagged. And this is where the system design gets very clever. The AI will periodically assign an orange badge to an application and force a human to open it and review it, even if the AI found absolutely zero errors and is 100% confident the application is perfect.
Okay, wait, hold on. Here's where it gets really interesting and where my project manager brain is screaming.
I thought it might.
If I am managing a team of city workers, my primary metric is throughput. Service level agreements dictate how fast we have to process these permits.
Right. Time is money.
If the AI knows an application is flawless, why on earth is it intentionally bottlenecking the process by throwing an orange flag and forcing a human to review it? That creates manual work and defeats the entire purpose of automating the easy stuff.
From a pure speed and efficiency standpoint, you are absolutely right. It seems entirely counterintuitive. But from a systems design and quality assurance perspective, it is a brilliant, necessary choice.
Okay, explain the logic, because my inner PM is looking at those orange badges as a massive waste of city resources.
Think about the psychological phenomenon of automation complacency.
Okay.
If a human operator sits in a chair staring at a monitor for 8 hours a day, and the machine is right 99 times out of 100, what happens to that human's attention span?
They check out.
They check out. They start suffering from screen hypnosis. They begin to blindly trust the green-accepted badges, they only casually glance at the red ones, and they stop actively verifying the data.
Now they become the rubber stamp we were just talking about avoiding.
Precisely. By randomly flagging perfectly good, flawless applications with an orange badge, the system forces a continuous built-in audit of the human's attention. Yeah, the operator opens the file expecting to find a complex error. They scrutinize the ID against the blurry text PDF, and they realize, oh wait, everything matches perfectly. This is fine.
It forces them to actively double-check the system's baseline accuracy.
It breaks the complacency and ensures high-level quality control.
Okay, I see the mechanism now. You are intentionally sacrificing a tiny fraction of your daily throughput to buy a massive amount of system accuracy and process integrity over the long term.
Exactly.
You're keeping the operators constantly on their toes. I will concede the point to your UX team.
It's all about maintaining trust in the process.
Yeah.
And they make it incredibly easy to manage this workflow. At the top of the application list, there are dual filter rows.
Okay.
You have one drop-down filter for the AI's decision and a completely separate one for the operator's decision.
Oh, so you can mix and match.
Right. So a city worker can just set the AI filter to rejected and the operator filter to pending, and instantly isolate only the specific applications where the machine found an anomaly that a human hasn't investigated yet.
That's a very clean way to slice the data. But a nice visual heat map and some clever filtering only gets you so far.
True.
What happens when an operator actually clicks on one of those orange or red rows during the verifying stage? We've talked about the list, but how do they actually do the granular work of reviewing Maria's blurry tax forms?
Well, when you click a specific row, you step out of the high-level list and into the application verification view.
Okay, the workspace.
Yeah, this is the actual workspace.
Yeah.
This is the exact digital location where the artificial intelligence and the human operator meet face-to-face.
The moment of truth. Let's break down the geography of the screen.
The layout here is intensely intentional. It's a 3-pane layout that maximizes the screen real estate. On the right side, occupying a full 50% of the screen, is a native PDF viewer. It displays the citizen's E1 tax declaration right there in the browser.
Which is brilliant because it means the city worker doesn't have to download thousands of PDFs to their local hard drive, which saves clicks and prevents massive security vulnerabilities.
Exactly. The source document is just there. Then on the bottom left quadrant, you have the editable application form, which is pre-populated with all the data Maria manually typed in.
Okay.
And finally, taking up the top left quadrant, you have the critical decisions panel.
I really want to focus on that decisions panel because when I was reading through the architectural notes, it struck me as having a very specific interpersonal dynamic.
How so?
Well, the analogy that kept coming to mind is a corporate mentorship.
Oh, I like that.
Right. The interface treats the AI like an incredibly eager, extremely fast junior assistant. The assistant does the first pass, reads all the complex documents, and leaves a sticky note on the file saying, hey, I checked this over and I think we should reject it because the 9th digit of the VAT number doesn't match.
Yeah, that's exactly what it does.
But the human operator is the senior partner at the firm. The assistant's sticky note is helpful context, but the senior partner is the one who actually has to pick up the pen and sign the final binding paperwork.
That is a perfect analogy for how this system is designed to function. And if we connect this to the bigger picture of UI design, the interface physically enforces that senior and junior dynamic through strict boundaries and transparency.
Right.
The decisions panel is split into two very distinct separated blocks. The top block is labeled AI Evaluation. It displays the AI's color-coded badge, the specific data fields it thinks are anomalous, and a plain-text, human-readable comment explaining its underlying logic.
Like the junior assistant's sticky note.
Exactly. But here's the critical mechanism. That AI evaluation block is strictly, permanently read-only.
Oh, interesting.
The human operator cannot alter, edit, or delete what the machine concluded. The AI's original opinion is preserved flawlessly for the historical record.
That makes sense for auditing.
Right. Directly below that read-only block is the operator decision block. This is where the human takes action, and this block is fully editable via a drop-down menu.
So the machine's opinion and the human's final verdict are physically and functionally walled off from each other on the screen.
Yes. And this brings us to the most important hard-coded rule in the entire system. No AI decision is ever final.
Wow.
The interface physically requires a human being to select a definitive outcome from that operator dropdown before the save and return button can even be clicked.
Wait, really? It forces the choice?
Yeah, if an operator tries to just hit save and skip to the next file without making a choice, the system throws a hard error and forces their cursor back to the drop-down menu.
So what does this all mean for the actual person sitting in that chair processing hundreds of these a day? If you are the operator, the UI is constantly reminding you that the machine has an opinion, and it's probably right, but you hold the ultimate authority.
Exactly.
In fact, the manual notes that the system actually restricts the available drop-down choices based on the AI's first pass. If the AI rejected an application, you can't just carelessly click accepted without thinking.
Right, it makes you pause.
Your choices are restricted to rejected, or that beautiful teal option, fixed and accepted. But the underlying philosophy is clear. Even if the AI is screaming with red badges to reject a file, the human operator can always choose to override it. The UI fundamentally trusts the human brain over the algorithmic outcome.
It has to trust the human. Because this design isn't just about making the software easy to navigate, it's about strict operational accountability and quality control. Every single time that operator makes a decision from that dropdown, the system logs the entire interaction.
And reading the architectural notes, it logs it as a JSON file, right?
It does. And for those not deep into the database tech, a JSON file is basically a lightweight, highly structured text file. It's instantly searchable, and it creates a permanent digital paper trail.
So it captures everything.
Everything. The system logs the exact changes the operator made to Maria's data, any free text comments they added to explain their rationale, and crucially, it logs their specific numeric operator ID right alongside a precise timestamp.
Wow. So if Maria calls City Hall 2 weeks later to complain that her permit was unfairly denied, the city manager can pull that JSON file and see exactly what happened.
Yeah.
They can see that operator 402 overrode the AI's recommendation and denied the permit at 2:14 p.m. on a Tuesday and read exactly why they did it.
The human takes ultimate responsibility for the civic outcome. The interface is meticulously designed to support the operator, to highlight potential anomalies with heat maps, and to speed up the mechanical reading of blurry tax documents.
But it never replaces them.
No, it is built to never, ever replace the operator's final judgment. If a human makes an unsaved change in the editable form, the save and return button literally glows on the screen to remind them to consciously commit their decision. The software demands human accountability at every single interaction point.
It's a really masterful balancing act between efficiency and control. We started this deep dive looking for the instant, frictionless magic of artificial intelligence, but what we found is that the real magic actually lies in the deliberate design of the guardrails. Let's quickly recap the journey we've been on today. We followed Maria's application to see how the strict session lifecycle, moving from open to stopped to AI checked, verifying, and finally closed, acts as a project manager's dream.
A very rigid dream.
Yeah, it uses batch processing and locked doors to control the flow of work and prevent database chaos. We explored how the decision badges use color, especially that teal fixed and accepted badge and the highly counterintuitive orange flag badge, to tell a complex narrative at a single glance and force humans to remain actively engaged.
Right.
And finally, we unpacked the verification view, a three-pane workspace that enforces a transparent relationship where the AI might be the incredibly fast junior assistant, but the human is always the senior partner holding the pen.
This specific pilot program really serves as a blueprint for how we should be integrating automated systems into critical, high-stakes civic services. You have to keep the human in the loop, both visible on the dashboard and functionally in the code.
It really does provide a fantastic template. But before we wrap up today, I want to leave you, our listener, with a final thought to mull over. We've spent all this time exploring how this specific smart city software uses UI tricks, read-only boxes, mandatory drop-downs, and JSON accountability logs to keep the human operators firmly in control of the AI. And it works beautifully right now.
But as we all know, technology does not stand still.
Exactly. As large language models and underlying algorithms get smarter, those plain text AI comments in the read-only box are going to become far more sophisticated.
Oh, without a doubt.
Right now, the assistant's sticky note might just say, VAT number mismatch. But what happens when the AI starts writing highly persuasive, incredibly nuanced arguments for why a citizen's application should be rejected?
That's a scary thought.
What happens when it says, based on a cross-reference of historical tax precedents and subtle formatting anomalies in the E1 document, I highly recommend rejection?
That changes the interpersonal dynamic entirely.
Right. How long will human operators truly maintain their independent judgment in the face of an incredibly articulate, seemingly authoritative machine? Will a clever UI layout, a simple physical separation of blocks on a screen, always be enough to prevent operators from eventually just blindly clicking agree because the machine sounds so undeniably smart?
This raises an important question about the future of work. At what specific point does the junior assistant become so overwhelmingly persuasive that the senior partner simply stops reading the files altogether?
It is definitely something to think about as these systems evolve. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the architecture and design of smart city permits. We hope it gave you a brand new perspective on the invisible digital infrastructure that is quietly running our cities.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
The next time you use a piece of software at work or submit an application online, take a moment to look past the surface. Look at the specific buttons, the colors, the forced choices, and ask yourself, who is really making the final decision here, the machine or the human? Until next time.